Every morning you crack an egg into a pan without a second thought. You do it half asleep. You do it without wondering where that bird came from or why it exists in your kitchen at all. But the real answer is far stranger than breakfast. The chicken did not start as food. It started as something closer to a spectacle, something loud, something violent, something sacred. Your ancestors did not look at a wild jungle bird and think dinner. They looked at it and thought power. Strip away everything you know about chickens. Forget the eggs. Forget the drumsticks. Go back nearly 4,000 years to the forests of Southeast Asia, where a bird called the red jungle fowl scratched through the undergrowth. It was small. It was shy. It startled at shadows. Nothing about it looked like the ancestor of the most numerous bird on Earth. So what changed? For decades, the story you were told was simple. Early farmers needed protein. They caught a wild bird, bred it, and turned it into livestock. Clean. Logical. Also, according to the latest archaeological evidence, mostly wrong. In 2022, a team led by archaeologist Joris Peters published a sweeping reanalysis of chicken bones recovered from sites across Asia and Europe. Peters and his colleagues used radiocarbon dating to correct decades of mistaken assumptions. Bones that were once thought to be thousands of years older turned out to be far more recent. The picture that emerged was not one of early farmers hunting protein, it was one of rice. Here is the twist. Chickens did not get domesticated because humans wanted meat. They got domesticated because humans started growing rice. Dry rice farming, the kind that leaves grains scattered across cleared fields, created an irresistible food source for wild jungle birds. The birds came to the humans, not the other way around. Think about what that means. You assume domestication is something people do to animals, something imposed. But this was closer to an invitation. The jungle fowl showed up on its own, drawn by spilled grain, and slowly, over generations, it got comfortable close to people. Comfort turned into tolerance. Tolerance turned into feeding. Feeding turned into ownership. This is not how you picture domestication in your head. You picture ropes, cages, control. But animals have always had a say in this relationship.
Whether
Dogs
it's
likely
the
domesticated
dog
themselves by
sniffing
scavenging near
the
human
tent,
campsites.
or
Cats
the
did the same near
cat
grain stores,
stalking
drawn
its
in by
prey.
rodents. And now it turns
These
out chickens
animals
followed
are
a strikingly
all
similar path.
following the
Drawn in
same
by
path.
opportunity, kept in by convenience, but convenience does not explain why the chicken spread so fast, or why humans became so attached to it. For that, you need to understand what the bird actually meant to the people who kept it. Genetic and archaeological research, including work by Oxford biologist Gregor Larson, has traced how the chicken moved outward from Southeast Asia along ancient trade routes. It reached the Indus Valley, it reached the Mediterranean, and nearly everywhere it went, it was not treated as food first. It was treated as an object of fascination. In ancient Rome, chickens were used to predict the outcome of battles. Priests called augurs would release the birds and watch how they ate. If a chicken refused its grain, an entire military campaign could be delayed. In ancient Greece, roosters were paired against each other in fighting pits, admired for their aggression, their color, their ferocity. In parts of early China, the birds crowing at dawn made it a symbol tied to timekeeping and the sun itself. You are looking at an animal that spread across the ancient world primarily because it was entertaining and because it was believed to speak for the gods. The eggs came later. The meat came even later than that. For most of its early history with humans, the chicken was less a source of nutrition and more a source of meaning. Does that surprise you? It should, because it flips the entire narrative you were taught. You assume ancient humans were relentlessly practical, driven purely by survival and calories. But the chicken story shows something else. It shows a species that made room in its world for spectacle, superstition, and status, long before it made room for a reliable food source. Humans did not domesticate the chicken to eat it. Humans domesticated the chicken because it was interesting, and eating it came almost as an afterthought centuries later, once populations grew and protein became scarce enough to matter. This pattern is not unique to chickens. Charles Darwin himself noted, while studying variation under domestication, that the red jungle fowl was almost certainly the single wild ancestor behind every modern chicken breed, despite how wildly different those breeds now look. 100+ varieties, from the towering Brahma to the tiny Silkie, all tracing back to one shy forest bird that wandered too close to a rice field. Now think about how strange that is. Every rooster crowing at dawn in a farmyard today descends from a bird that was never hunted for meat in its earliest domesticated form. It descends from a bird kept for its color, its crow, its willingness to fight, and its supposed ability to read omens in the sky. The chicken became food almost by accident. Population growth demanded it. Efficiency demanded it. And once humans realized this bird could reproduce quickly, eat almost anything, and require very little space, its fate was sealed. Not because it was chosen for nutrition, but because it was already there, already familiar, already embedded in daily life for reasons that had nothing to do with hunger. There is something almost uncomfortable in that. You like to believe your habits are rational. You like to believe the food on your plate exists there because someone, somewhere, made a calculated decision about survival. But the chicken's history suggests otherwise. It suggests that some of your most basic routines were shaped by curiosity, superstition, and convenience, layered slowly over thousands of years until the origin was forgotten entirely. Now look at your own kitchen again. That egg in the pan is not just breakfast, it is the end point of a 4,000-year accident. A wild bird wandered into a rice field looking for spilled grain. It stayed because staying was easier than leaving. Humans kept it around because it was strange and captivating long before they understood it could feed them. And somewhere in that chain of small, unplanned choices, one shy forest bird became the most common bird on the planet, present in nearly every human civilization that followed. You did not choose the chicken because it made sense. Your ancestors did not choose it because it was efficient. It chose itself, slowly, by walking toward the food humans left behind, and humans simply let it stay. So tomorrow morning, when you crack that egg into the pan without a second thought, you are not just eating breakfast. You are finishing a story that began with a bird nobody meant to keep.